So in this lesson, we are going to talk about multiplying and dividing integers. So I can multiply and divide integers. So remember, integers are numbers that do not necessarily have to be written, have a fraction or a decimal next to it. Those are what integers are. As a quick review, we learned how to add and subtract integers earlier this week. So today we are going to talk about multiplying and dividing them. As always, these blank copies of notes are on Schoology under notes, blank notes, and a number sense unit. It is there. Okay, so let's talk about multiplying and dividing integers with the same sign. So this is pretty simple. What this means is, if my integers have the same sign, this is going to be always a positive result. So for example, if I have -2 multiplied by -4, notice how they're both negative, then it's going to be +8. If I have 2 times 4, this is also +8 because these are the same sign. So example 1, -5 times a -6, these have the same sign, so it's going to be +30. Example 2, -18 divided by -6 is +3 because these are both negative. So on your own, why don't you try 1, 2, 3, and 4, submit it onto Edpuzzle. So now next we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing integers with different signs. So if my signs are different, like opposite of each other, then it's going to be a negative answer. So for example, going back to the same example, I have -2 multiplied by +4. Notice how my signs are opposites of each other. That means I'm going to end up with a negative answer. It doesn't matter where the negative is. If I have +2 multiplied by -4, my answer still is a -8. So as long as my signs are opposite of each other, then it's going to be a negative answer. So for example, number 3, I have 3 multiplied by -4. That is a 12, but it's a -12 because my signs are different, or opposite. If I have a fraction, -54/6, this fraction bar means to divide. That is a -9 because my signs are opposite of each other. So on your own, why don't you try 5, 6, 7, and 8. Number 8 could be tricky, but I would say focus on these two first, and then do the next two right after that. Okay, so find a product first, and then find the second product after. Example number 4, I have AB divided by -4. So let's take a look at this one real quick. AB, if I have a number of two variables next to each other, that is multiplication. So let's use the substitution property of equality and plug them in. -6, -8 divided by -4. Order of operations, I have multiplying and dividing here. I go left to right. So do -6 multiplied by -8, which is +48. Bring everything else down. So once I do that, 48 divided by -4, I get -12 as your final quotient. Okay, so on your own, why don't you try numbers 10 and 11. Cool, last example of the day. Rachel had test scores of 84, 90, 89, 93. Find the mean of her test scores. Remember that mean means average. Okay, so I'm finding the average of all 4 test scores. If I wanted to find the average, hope you remember you just add all of them up and you divide by however many numbers there were. So in this problem, let's add up all of our test scores. I have 84 plus 90 plus 89 plus 93. And I divide this by 4 because there are 4 tests, right? If I add them all up, I don't want to do this in my head. I don't think I can, so I'm going to show my work. 16, 9, 18, 26, 35, I think. So I get 356 to be the sum of the top over 4. Alright, so now let's do the division. So once you add them all up, you actually do the division. I believe it's 8. minus 32 over 30. Whoops. I don't know what that would be. 36. You get 9. Subtract 36, you get 0. So therefore, the average of Rachel's test scores are 89. All right, let's do the same thing. Letter B, find the mean of negative 2, 8, 5, negative 9, negative 12, and negative 2. Okay, so now we're dealing with negative numbers. So we have to use what we learned in the previous couple days for this problem. So let's add them all up. Negative 2 plus 8 plus 5 plus negative 9 plus negative 12 plus negative 2 divided by, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. So you're like, okay, where do I start? Here's what I would do. I would combine all of your negative numbers together, and I would combine all your positive numbers together. So for example, if I were to highlight all my negative numbers, let's combine all of these. So if I were to just add them up, 2, 9, 12, another 2, 4, 13, 25, negative 25. Okay, so now let's combine all of my positive numbers. Like, looks like I just have 8 and 5. That's 13, right? Over how many numbers were there originally? There were 6. So now all I have to simply remember, this 13 is the positive numbers, and this negative 25 are my negative numbers. So from here, you just combine like terms on the top, negative 25 plus 13. My signs are different, so I'm going to subtract. One's positive, one's negative. 12, and I take the sign of the bigger number, which is negative 25, over 6. So the average of all of these numbers is negative 2. So why don't you try number 12 on your own? Find the average of those 7 days, and then reflect on how you feel after today's lesson. If you have any questions on this, please make sure you ask during the breakout activity today. Your homework tonight is to do a multiplying, dividing integer worksheet. And that's it for today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day.